Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Rosaline, Zhou, thank you so much for your time. Welcome to the show.
What's up, PD?
Rosaline, I'm going to start with you. I just love the concept of this show. It's so dynamic and there's so much happening. I can't even imagine what it's like seeing it on the script and then seeing it kind of like translate to the screen. What is that like mindset-wise, seeing it and then actually going to film it specifically, Kaleidoscope?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was when I remember when I first came across the project, it was actually a couple of years before we started filming because it kind of went away and came back after COVID. And it really stuck with me, the idea of like a show where the episodes were colors and were out of order. And how would you even approach that from a writing perspective?
Yeah.
And I think from like my perspective as someone kind of building a character, it was just wild to me going through it and being like, every time you'd start an episode and there was Judy's first scene, it was like, this is where someone's going to encounter her for the first time. And at first, I was trying to keep that in mind and maybe think about like the different first impressions people would have, and then you had to completely let it go.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
no, absolutely.
There was something really freeing about also like you get used to in film shooting things out of sequence and having to keep track of that, but the show is out of sequence anyway, so it felt in keeping with our experience that we wouldn't know where we were any given morning.
Yeah, that's true. We definitely didn't
I had no
know
idea
where we were.
Nope.
Well, the thing, Zhou, I wanted to ask you about is, there's two types of audience members these days for watching TV and film. There's like the passive member who could just like sit back, relax, dual viewing, have their phone and just tune in and out. And then there's the active one that has to be like paying attention or they're going to miss something. And this is the show where you can't be passive. You got to.
Thank God. It's phones down when you're watching Kaleidoscope or you'll really be lost.
But what's that like being on a show where, the audience member, you have to visualize the audience member as like a detective, kind of like figuring things out. Like, is that fun to think
Great.
about?
It's exhilarating. Yeah. It's cool. And it's one of those ones where, I mean, even us as performers, there's so much density to the details and the different little threads in this that you find yourself constantly investigating, and like you would even, I mean, it's not hard for me to get lost with anything, but I would have moments on set where I'm like, but wait, what did?
Who are we? Why did?
How does it even work if this happened with that? And it's like, no,
Eric.
Man. Yeah, exactly. Calling the showrunner in to explain things, but it's full of like twists and turns and little clues and kind of bubbles of stuff that I think the audience will be able to kind of grab onto or think they have it. And I don't know, I think it's going to create a really engaging experience and hopefully, social media takes a break while they sit there and binge on this.
Phones down for this one, right? Phones down. We're starting the new year, January 1st. We have Kaleidoscope on Netflix. Very quickly before we wrap up, Rosaline, when they get a chance to watch it, what are you hoping they get out of it? I mean, obviously a good time, escapism, but anything else specifically?
When people watch, I mean, I think there's something really exciting to me about the idea of like recovering from New Year's, sitting down on the couch and just like spending 8 hours in this complete mindfuck. Can one say mindfuck?
Absolutely. I can't wait for people to see it. Rosaline, Zhou, thank you both so much for your time. January 1st, Kaleidoscope on Netflix. It was so great chatting with you.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.